What's up, Matrix Breakers, Matrix family all over this great planet, wherever you're at, worldwide, global we are, here on the Matrix Minds. I hope everybody is absolutely doing fabulous. You've got your drink, you've got your popcorn. We are running late, like always. But you know me. Just, I don't know. It's what I do. I'm hopefully going to die late. Anyway, Brainiacs. Yeshua's game is just a ride in the Matrix with my good friend, Miss Sandy Bergen. This girl has been through the mill and back. Let me tell you what. She's live here with me. And I'm going to bring her story as well as her to you here in just 1 second. I hope everybody is tuning in. Share this thing, please. Share this far and wide. Again, we're kind of limited, so I get smacked. The system smacks me. It says, no, you can't do that, Matt. You can't do that, Matt. Anyway, Brainiacs, we'll catch you on the other side of this intro. Share this feed, and I'll introduce you to Miss Sandy Bergen. We'll talk to you just a minute. Yeah. Let's do this. One of the fastest growing talk shows on the internet. Your show. Welcome aboard the Matrix Minds. One of the most controversial conspiratorial shows on the internet. The Matrix Minds. And that's right. Buckle up, everybody. Let's go. Paranormal, huh? Conspiracy, huh? Ufology, hidden Egyptology, and anything and everything we can get our hands on. Let's go. Welcome aboard. The Matrix Minds. The Matrix Minds. Your show.
Take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole is. All I'm offering is the truth. Stay in Wonderland. All I'm offering is the truth. Stay in Wonderland. All I'm offering is the truth.
Alrighty, Matrix Minds, Matrix family all over the planet. What's up? Oh my God, let me see if I can't find this screen. Where are we at? Because I don't usually do it this way, but I'm trying to do something a whole different way so that I make my friends feel very comfortable. There we go. End of video. There's that. There's this. And let's see. Hopefully. Got this. You guys see me? Yeah, you guys can see me for a minute. There's me. All right. Now I'm gonna have to unmute my desktop audio here. Again, bear with me because I don't do this way. Hang on 1 second. And boom, bing. I think. There we go. Miss Sandy Bergen. She's a friend of mine. She's been a friend for a long time. She come up missing like some time ago, and I'm like, my God, where did she go? I was worried about her. I wondered what the hell happened to her, and because I have known her through the MK community for some time, I was wondering what the hell happened to her, and she fell off the radar. Don't do that again. But she fell off the radar, and really, I was worried sick about her. Finally, I got a hold of her again. I finally got track of her again. She's with a very solid guy. She's with somebody to defend her ass now, so nobody can come against her. Miss Sandy Bergen, you are, again, sweetheart, you've been through the mill. You are an MK kid, and the community knows that I have spoken about you and referenced your story so very many times. So welcome to the Matrix, finally.
Well, I'm so grateful that you were so resilient and found me again when I finally went back on Facebook, because I did kind of drop off the face of the earth there because I got pretty freaked out. But I'm really super grateful to be doing this show tonight, and like I try to call myself kind of like an OG survivor, old girl. You know, like I'm gonna be OG. I'm gonna be 62, and I'm not even supposed to be here anymore because the stuff that I've gone through. But there is some of us that are still here, so it's all good. And I decided to go out. I feel like somebody actually just messaged me about an hour ago and said, "Oh, Sandy, I'm halfway through your book," and I'm really grateful, whatever she said. And I was like, well, I'm going to do another interview. I'm going out on a limb, and all I can do is break a leg, and let's see what happens.
Well, hopefully you don't break anything. Hopefully you don't break anything other than you help some people and other MK kids. And here's the thing. Why do I call this? You know why? Why do I call you all MK kids? MK kids. Why?
Because it's from cradle to grave. It starts when we're very, very, it starts when you're a baby. It starts in the womb. So I don't take offense of it at all, because I know that I'm not a kid. But I call my kids kids, and I'm like, we got to call them children. But, like you said, it's a very appropriate analogy, is that the word, to be able to put people's psychic into what you're talking about. Because there's so many MK people that don't even know they're MK. It could be a celebrity, like they say, Britney Spears is MK Ultra, but it could be a bag lady on the street. It could be a person like me, who, like, when I told my sister about it, she said, "Oh, Sandy, why would they pick you, little Sandy Bergen from Utica, Michigan?" And I was like, is it my memory? Is it my DNA? Is it, my blood? Whatever reason, they picked me, and it did happen. It was not, what do they call it, implanted memories. Or I've had trolls say, "Oh, you're a wannabe MK Ultra survivor," and I'm like, who would want that? Who wants to get fame for being an MK Ultra survivor?
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. Or why they kind of do that to you guys, but they do. Why would why would they try to I guess this is what bothers me, is why people will try to claim something that they are absolutely positively not. You know what I mean? I mean, because the validity of that is like, you're like, what the hell? Why would you try to be something that you're absolutely not? Especially whenever there's so many of you guys within the community that can out them. Sandy?
Well, there's a lot that are gone, because mine started, I was born in 1959. And this all started in 1953, and they had millions of us that we're all off the free. Lots of them are gone. They knock them out and stuff. So then they think that we somehow are going to make up a fanical experience for ourselves. And I have met through my going public, where I've had people contact me, and it turns out that they were just this one chick, and she actually was imitating being an MK Ultra survivor, and was trying to set me up, is what I'm trying to say. So you have people that come infiltrate, and you have people that will come in and pretend that they're going to help you. and you end up having to figure out who's the one on your, the ones that are really there to help you, or the ones that are there to reprogram you and re-loop you. And they want to erase your memories, and they want you to think that you're fantasizing about this and that none of it ever happened. That's their big thing. They want you to act like it never happened.
Well, Sandy, let's for those people that they know a little bit about Sandy Bergen because of me being your friend, and also talking to some other MK kids here on the show, but they don't know the full story. They don't know the full story. Okay, they don't know the full story. Where and how did all of this ride in the Matrix begin for you?
Right. Well, I guess it would begin when you're on your birthday, which I was born November 15th, 1959. There was a full moon. People can look it up. You can always look up when you're born. In a place called Utica, Michigan. And I was born in Mount Clemens General Hospital. And through my research, Michigan is actually a big hub for doing this trauma-based mind control and creating these perfect slaves. And I was born in Mount Clemens, Michigan in 1959, and Kathy O'Brien, who's a very famous or high-level presidential slave. She had lots of contact with people, way more than I would ever have any memory of. I might have met them and didn't know who I was meeting. But she was born in Muskegon, Michigan in 1958. And her programming was way different than mine. I don't think she's never shared it. Like, I had a hospital stay that I never forgot. I had to have been about 3 years old, and I remember getting up out of bed and going through the house, and my 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. I'm the youngest out of 5, and there's 10 years from the oldest to 3.5 to the one before me of age difference. And they were getting ready for school, and I went to the bathroom and urinated, and it appeared red. I had no fever, no pain, no problems. And I called my mom in, and I said, look, and she panicked. She didn't call a doctor. She didn't take my temperature. She didn't tell me if I had any pain. She just called my cousin, because my dad had the only vehicle at work, because we only had one car. And she wrapped me in a blanket and rocked me in her arms and took me to the hospital. And when we pulled up, I remember her handing me over to the nurse and then taking me in. And then I didn't see my parents for my memory that I carried through my whole childhood, that we never talked about it, but through my whole life, was that it was 3 days. But going through some therapy after I had my awakening, we figure it was about 2 weeks I was in that hospital. And I only remember one visit with my parents coming to the hospital. And I remember, let me just get back to when they took me into the room. Had cages. It wasn't like crib cages. Like people say, oh, they do that in the hospital.
Right.
But these were like from the floor to the ceiling. And there was other kids in cages. And they put me in a cage. And you just don't forget that. I just always kept it in the back of my mind and wouldn't talk about it. But it all came back in 2012, December 2012. And they had a room behind my bed when there was a door. And I asked the nurse, I said, who's in that room? And they said, a little girl with a hole in her heart. And you tell a little child I just remember like devastated and depressed and crying. And then they would let us out of the cage to go into the play corner to play with blocks, with the things with symbols on them and puzzles. And I found out that before they do the electroshock to actually honeycomb your mind into your personalities, that they will do this kind of stuff before to implant the programming. Like I said, as much as I feel like I know about it, there's so much I don't know about it.
Sandy,
But,
I wonder if they tried to just scare you at that age by telling you there's a little girl with a hole in her heart.
Oh,
I've always wondered that.
Right, and then, like I said, I carried certain memories I carried my whole life, and other ones came back after the awakening. And like I didn't always remember them electroshocking my brain, but then it came back, and I had this image of me with, and I always wondered, I had these implants, these marks in my temples when I was like 5, and I was looking in the mirror a lot. Believe me, they had me in the mirror. My sister used to put makeup on me, and I always wondered about those marks there. Well, what my image was, that they had this thing on my head, and that I had the nurse was wiping drool off of and I remember the pain and floating out. And then of course I couldn't remember more, because your body will, because of the trauma and pain, will actually block it out. Mm-hmm. And sometimes permanently, sometimes you get your memories back.
Right.
But
tell them, this is how the mind gets fragmented. Mm-hmm. This is how the mind gets fragmentation.
Right, and it's old. They say it's from the Nazis, but it's ancient Egyptian. It goes way back, that they've been doing to this for millions of years. And so when my parents finally came, I remember I was in the cage, and they kept watching them come across the room, strolling across. And my mom had a pink dress on, and she ended up with a pink dress on when I married one of my handlers. But she had her little purse swinging in one hand, and she had a bag. And in the bag, it turns out there was puzzles. And they gave me the puzzles, and I solved them. Like, I could always do puzzles really well. But I found out again that probably was right before they were going to do some more electroshocking or something, to do something to my brain. Because now I see what symbols are, and sigils, and things that before my awakening, I mean, I never noticed a Mason symbol. All the, traveling I did and stuff, and I didn't even know what a Freemason was until my awakening.
Right.
And that's another facet of what this goes to, because the secret societies, and it's very satanic. And like I said, you could talk for hours about it, and sometimes you can feel you're getting somewhere, and other times you're like, okay, like if you talk to Penny, Penny Shepherd, one of your, she woke up 5 years ago.
Right.
And she's done miraculous work. And like I woke up in 2012, just right by the Mayan calendar, which if you do everything inverted, it could be this December 2021, because they invert everything.
They love playing with numbers, and they love changing shit to make it backwards. This is why I've said, and you laughed at it, but I know if they say, avoid the red Kool-Aid, the first thing I'm going to do is look for a fucking gallon of red Kool-Aid. I'm just, and it. I mean, it's like everything is opposite in the system. Yeah. In this ride we're in, it's like completely back asswards. And okay, keep going.
Well, anyway, and today, is 0917-2021, which 09 and like anytime after like 0910, it equals up. So like today equals 17, and they do something with that, and they do something with gematria. The numbers. The numbers are huge. Gematria. And I let you let me pick my day today. And I was like, I'm going to do it. Like some people, because if I'm a Sabbath, you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath, but this isn't work for me. This is teaching. I feel like I'm in a synagogue.
Oh, come on, dear.
I mean, happy Sabbath. I didn't say that. Yeah, this is all for Yahuwah. And you call them Yahushua. Well, you call them Yeshua. And the real name of Jesus Christ is Yahushua. But it's Yahuwah. Yahuwah's game. It's just a ride in the Matrix, and we're all gonna get through it.
So tell us how you like the story. Tell us what we're gonna find in this book that your like your programming. How did this start? Besides just puzzles, like all throughout the beginning.
Right. Well, so I went to the hospital stay, and I remember them finally moving me out of the cage, and that's why I'm thinking it was more than 3 days. And they told me I was in my sister's bed. So they had my sister Joanne, who's 9.5 years older than me, almost 10 years older than me, in the hospital too at that time. But she doesn't want to think that anything happened to her, and that's fine. But so when I went home, I had a lot of ear problems, and I'm thinking that they might have implanted me. But another test that they did in that hospital that I never ever forgot was they took me out of the cage, and they wheeled me in a wheelchair down a long hall into this little hallway, and there was an empty wheelchair outside the door, and they carried a girl out. And she ended up in my room when they took me out of the cage. Her and I were both in there probably recuperating from the electro shit that they did to us, because I remember her dad coming over and saying, "You have to eat." He buttered my toast, and I was like, "I'm not eating." Like, I was depressed. Her dad was there. Why weren't my parents there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so they took her out, and they put me in on this table, and they lowered a machine down to my lower chakra area, right where you have your root chakra and your sacral, which is the sex. And they lowered the machine down there, and they did, even at that young age, I thought they looked humanoid. I'm not kidding. They did not look human. And they walked out of the room, and they put their heads through like a triangle, a rectangle. I said in another interview once triangle, and I wanted to make sure I get it right. It's a rectangle. And they popped their heads together, and they said, "Smile." And something zapped me right in my lower chakra area. Like I said, they didn't put any wrapping on me, no lead. And then finding out about the program that they can actually attach an entity to a child's root chakra with the technology they have. And that entity will suck on this child's energy. And what they do is they sexually stimulate the child so that you're all stimulated. What happened for me, by the time I got home, within a month, they put me in bed with my cousin. That's another whole story that I could go through if you want me to.
You got 2 hours, sweetheart. If you got you got 2 hours, and if you got to go long.
So what I'm saying is that goes through. They started me so young. That like after my awakening, I was like, oh my God, I was a child whore. And then I started remembering, and memories came back. Like I said, that hospital stay didn't always, all the memories weren't always with me. But can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, great. But then the memories came back of them waking us kids up in the middle of the night to have sex, to do sexual things to each other. And then we had my cousin stay over, my cousin Danny Bergen, and he's a year younger than me. So I would say I was born in November of 59, and sometime in 62 and 63, they took me to that hospital. So I had to be like 3 or 3.5. So he was like 2.5.
See,
he was a little kid. He was little, and so was I. And we were innocent.
Telling you now, this Sandy's story, okay, she's going to validate for me what I'm sharing with you. There's several people that I'm in communications with. I will not say their name. Sandy knows who I'm talking about. One of the girls is in Pennsylvania, very scared. She's scared shitless right now. She wants to come forward. She's in the MK community. The same story that I'm about to share with you that was done. This same thing was done to Sandy, and I do believe that the other victim, as well as the other victim, they share the similar story, and that is, and you'll find it in her book. Okay, you'll find everything that Sandy's sharing with you in the book, plus more. But these kids, okay, this is why they are so following the narrative growing up is because they have been. I gotta try to say this without getting upset and crying. I get angry about this. But these kids would be awoken in the middle of the night, sometimes by their own parents. Okay? And Sandy would be one of the many. Again, many. There's many. Even you. Maybe you were listening. That have been awoken at a very young age. Don't hardly even remember being able to talk, but yet being awoken by your parent or some guardian by clitoral stimulation. Lower chakra, lower sacral stimulation. And it's primarily it is gearing you towards it is okay. This is okay. Touch on that.
I didn't know there was anything wrong with it. I didn't know there was anything wrong with it. And like I remember the first time with my cousin Danny. He's a beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed little boy. You know, now he's a grown man, but at the time, and here I am, you know, brown-eyed girl, and I was so excited because Danny was spending the night, and you know, we had 3 bedrooms. So my sisters and I shared a bedroom, but they were gone, and some reason they put Danny in my bed with me instead of on the couch. And I remember them giving us a bath together. And one time actually at his house, I was a little bit older, and I was getting in the bath with all him and his brothers, and his mom was a part of it. And I remember just telling the boys, I was like, turn your head, and she laughed. Because she already knew I had been like naked in front of them so many times. But anyway, so Danny we were in the bed and I was sleeping, and a rough arm woke me up. It couldn't have been that little boy. It was a rough arm. It felt familiar. It felt like what they did in the hospital. My eyes popped open, and I said, "Oh, it's time!" in my head. That's what it was. It was time, and I loved that time. I was this little sexual freak. Right. I'm sure that they loved me. And there was my cousin, and then it started, and then it went on for year after year. And then I called him after my awakening, and I said, Danny, do you remember how young we were and how much sex we had? You know, he said, well, Sandy, I don't remember the first time. It was at your house. It was at my house. I said, well, I do. It was at my house, and then we were this, and I went into it. And he's like, well, you don't blame me, do you? I said, how could I blame you? But don't you know that my parents and your parents both knew they knew it. They were probably recording us. They had to have been.
Right.
It went on night. I would fall asleep with this little boy's penis in my hand.
Right.
I was 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And then I was be triggered to go into drawers. And I'm going to try not to go into my grandkids too much because I started rereading my book, and I did say some stuff, and they're going to grow up. Well, I did get to see them this year, which was huge. But,
right.
It's not normal to do this to small children. Is what I'm getting at. And he was like, well, they didn't put me in a hospital. I said, well, I'm glad they didn't. I'm really glad. But for me, yes, and they fragmented my mind, and I went through hell and back. We talked for about 2 or 3 hours, and I've never heard from him again. The whole family has disowned me, basically. And there was something going on with another cousin, Diane, and Danny and I, all first cousins. And I called her and I said, Diane, do you remember you guys used to tell me we call it ghost? And we had threesomes. And she said, well, you're not going to tell everybody, are you? I said, that's abuse. That's child abuse. That's not supposed to happen to children. And she says, well, the family's going to hate you. And I said, well, they hated me when they were letting that happen to me, so they can hate me now.
Sandy, I've got a question coming through the chat that and I don't have the lines open yet for anybody to call, but I want to do that. We'll do that in a little bit.
Okay.
There was a Tammy Bottom, I think, from out of the chat had asked a question. Let me see if I can scroll back to it. Shout out to all of the brainiacs there in the Black Sheep Media. Also, I see you guys in there. Okay, I can't find it. It's already scrolled past too fast. But Tammy had asked that whenever your parents dropped you off, hopefully your parents didn't get an opportunity to see the cages of the children, right?
Oh yeah, they did. That's when they came to visit me.
Holy
because
shit.
That's what. No, yeah. My mom handed me to the nurse, and she disappeared. And then I told you that, days were. For me, my memory when I would be up in the tree, I was a tomboy. I'd be sitting in a tree, say when I was 8 years old, and would just think about. But I didn't really know what I was thinking about. I can't even explain it. This is going even deeper than I probably have ever talked to anybody about.
It's okay. I mean, Sandy, here's you know what? Have you?
But yeah, they knew because they came. I remember I told you they came strolling through, and I remember seeing them, and I felt relief. I'm like, I'm gonna get out.
Right, right.
Yeah, they're gonna save me. I think that's probably why it was even more traumatic. They said that they had to sedate me because I went crazy when they left. Now that was a story that's one. Like I said, there was only tidbits that my parents ever talked about. When I finally talked about it, after I was 53 years old, is when I had my awakening. And so I have an older sister, Joanne, and I told her, and she says, "Oh yeah, I remember you were in the hospital for a bladder infection. You don't go and get put in the hospital for freaking days." Mm-mm. For a bladder. My kids had bladder. My daughter had one that broke out when we were on vacation.
Yeah, that's abnormal.
I took her to a doctor and got her antibiotics. Right. Yeah, that's not normal, but that's what there's. And then she said, "Well, you should, before you trash mom and dad, you should check and see if you had implants put in you." And I was like, I'm sure they did. Yeah, it's like, come on, they did everything else.
We talked about here. These guys here on the Matrix have been. They've been influenced to the point where they know the story behind Max Spears. They've talked. I've shared Max's story time and time again because I didn't get it. They took Max from us prior to me even being able to interview Max. Again, I'm glad you're with who you're with because you need the security, you need the stability. And number two, I'm going to go ahead and say this for all of the ABCs listening. I'm glad she's near me. Did you hear me? Because I know she knows, my wife knows, my family knows, now this community knows. If I would do nothing more than help protect her in any way I can. Okay? So no matter whatever the hell's to happen, getting this story out, your story, through the platform of the Matrix, that's a big deal. It's a big deal because this show reaches a lot of people. And again, like I said in the beginning, you're a and even you're a teacher. We can help these people remember what the hell happened to them. And some of them awake, some of them now know. I mean, talk about your awakening. How did this all in the book? I'm not going to say it. I want you to share it. How would all this? Wow, like what? Right? The oh shit. When was the oh shit?
I look back at the oh shit. Okay, first of all, too, is that I like to always say that we can always be teachers and we're always students. Mm-hmm. Because remember, you're always learning. But I've had some people say, Sandy, you want to teach, you need to do. And I didn't even think of myself as a teacher, because you never think of, you always, I think it's about human psychosis, is that we want to think small about ourselves instead of thinking that of course I have the ability to teach, and of course I always want to keep learning, because that's a heroic journey of being a human, is for wisdom and knowledge.
Right.
So I mean, I'm really grateful. But my great explosion when the bag was taken off my head and everything was looking at the world and going, I see everything different now, was December of 2012. And I told it on Miles, and I'll tell it again. I had not smoked any weed in a little while, and somebody had left a little joint at my house, and I took a hit, and I used my usual routine. I got the Bible, and I was reading about the Antichrist, and it was like, and that's usually the last trigger of the programming. Remember, they have programs, and mine was religion.
Mm-hmm.
My main heavy altar is the religion. That's why the book has so much scripture. And you should warn your people if they want to order it. That there's a lot of. I could be called a Bible thumper. I've been good. That's when my brother said, "Oh, now you're a Bible thumper," and I said, "Call me what you want." But I also was always going to church on my, with hangovers, and going on my lunch hour to Bible study, and then snorting cocaine at night, and all messed up. But then the Father woke me up. So I feel, it was a great awakening by the great spirits, and that I've had a lot of help. And it was in December of 2012, right, with the Mayan calendar. And first thing it said to me is, the government wants you dead. I swear to God, that's the first thing that came to my head, is the government wants you dead. And then right after that, I had an astral dream with my mom. And she said, Sandy, the government's been after you all your life. And I shared that in the Miles Johnson interview, and they stopped my lips, and they took out all your life. And it just sounded like, Sandy, the government's been after you. Changes the whole contents,
right.
Changes it all, because they don't want you to know. Whoever's edits our stuff, like Miles might be a horrible shill. Maybe they were, we don't know, but we do know that they've edited my stuff for sure. I know that. So if
they would have to hack my machine to do that, because as soon as we're done with this interview, it's going to end up on my machine. Okay, as well as I'm going to blow this. I'm going to send one of my supporters. He too is going to have a copy of it on his server. This specific interview, to me, is near and dear to my heart, because again, I thought you are one of the few MK kids that I've not interviewed. One of the very few. Stuart Swerdlow is another one that I have not had an opportunity to interview. I've talked to Stuart, but Sandy, I can't put my finger on that dude. I just can't. There's something not right.
Well, I don't know. I've heard his name, and I'm pretty sure it's Stu Penny and because I think Penny, he follows on the MK Ultra, one of her pages. That's where I've seen Stuart a little bit, but I don't know his story. Like I said, there's so many, but there's not so many if you think about it. Like, obviously you have like the famous ones like Fiona Barrett, who's done such a great job. I mean, her story is tragic. I do believe that she was in the Bohemian Grove in the little children's teddy bear where they track them and hunt them down.
The Cuddle Circle. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then you have, like I said, I've gotten Penny recommended I read Bryce Taylor's. I think it's hers called "Thank You for the Memories," and I haven't. But I've read some of Kathy O'Brien's. She has 3. I read 2. My book is totally like I know I'm going to do another one, because I felt really kind of rushed, because remember, I ended up out on my own, Matt. I was disowned. I went public. I thought I was making a platform with Miles Johnston, and nothing happened. And I had handlers, and I had my kids disown me. So I was like, writing, and sometimes my computer would get blown up or I got arrested. I was put in a crazy house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was put in a crazy house in 2010 and then again in 2016, and when I was very young too. Um, so there was all these distractions to writing the book, and I felt like I have to do it. I just need to get it published, and it is for I still, even though I know religion and dogma is mind control 101, I have a connection with the Creator, the Most High, the Great Spirit. That's my connection. And and you have to look out for that Jesus fellow, because I love the Messiah, Yahushua, but I don't worship him in the same way as the Creator.
Right.
I just cannot do it.
I get you. Totally get you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we are in the end times. And the mark of the beast is either the vaccine or what they're going to implement from it. If they make us do some kind of RFID to do our money, because there is going to be the Great Reset. Klaus Schwab wrote his books, and he's the head of the World Economic Forum, and they have to tell us what they're doing. So that's probably a book I should read. I think it's called The Fourth Industrial Revolution, or he has one called The Great Reset.
The Great Reset. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not familiar with it. I am not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's pretty interesting how they're exposing this, just like the Georgia Guidestones. They have to tell us what they're going to do.
Sandy, I just threw up a screen here. I know. Again, usually I go about an hour and a half with the interview process, and then open up the lines. Again, this community knows you. They don't really know the backstory of you. So that's one of the reasons I wanted you here. I wanted you here is because you're a teacher. You're part of this community, and I so badly wanted to get your story out for my community, because there's so many people in this community that are hidden, okay, but yet afraid to come out. Like I told you, I'm really thinking that I'm going to put you in touch with her, Penny in touch with her, because she is the one girl right now is like I said, she's thinking, she's like damn near on suicidal level, and I'm going, look, you're gonna be all right. You know how we work to try to like support them when they're losing all hope, okay, because the bombardment with the voice to skull technology, which is real. You yourself have dealt with it. You yourself have dealt with gang stalking. You yourself have dealt with many handlers that's tried to have you killed, tried to sexually exploit you, tried to sell you, tried to beat your ass, tried to you name it. You've been through the mill. And I'm saying, you are a key cornerstone. You may not believe that, but I'm telling you, you are. I think you know it.
Well, like I said, most people have their own level of awakening. There might be somebody else. I've had people reach out and they say, Sandy, the only reason I'm able even to find you is because I saw your videos, and I just want to tell you how thankful I am for your courage. But I'm not ready. They're just like, I'm not ready, but I want you to know that by you telling me these things that happened, it put the pieces together for me, and I'm grateful. So I just don't push people. And like I said, and I've also had people pretend that they were actually survivors, and they were actually trying to set me up. So this person, if she wanted to talk to me, like I said, I've talked to lots of different people, but nowhere nearly as approachable as Penny, because she talks to hundreds of people a week, I guess. A lot of people, I don't know. But like I said, I've had, I was discouraged after an interview with Miles when I saw that he had hacked it and stuff. And then somebody from China, he found me and sent me an email and said, Sandy, I'm so grateful. And then I'm like, okay, it's all worth it. Because to me, it was very important to have my testimony. And I think that, and I found out through talking to other survivors and everything, we really do need recognition. There's something of maybe of all of the years of them suppressing us. And I mean, I went through extensive beatings. I mean, my face was mangled sometimes. I have broken fingers, the bones in them from protecting my face from a 6'4" person that went on for 3 or 4 years, and I couldn't leave. And I look back and, like, of course, I've had sarcastic people say, well, you must have enjoyed it. And I'm like, no. And then you have to laugh and say, well, if the aliens were watching, they must have been having a good time watching how I never got knocked out.
Oh, man.
You know, like, yeah, I was like, yeah, can you imagine what it looks like? I'm 5'2" and it's 6'4" beating me up, and not even being able to even, it was in the early 80s. Everything was different than now. You call it. I don't know why I didn't, probably because drugs were involved, why I didn't call the police, why didn't somebody help me? You know, and then I find out that the beatings are part of setting in the dissociative identity disorder.
Yes, it is. That's a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, you know, from what I've heard in the past, and I again, this show, I support the Men in Blue. I support I've got so very many people in not only the community in uniform that follow the show, but I too have got up here in Akron, in the rubber city capital of the world. I've got a handful of police officers that are near and dear to my heart because I've either went to school with them or I grew up with them. Okay. And I know that they too are stuck in a bad system. The system is corrupt to the core. So whenever you've got a good person in uniform trying to do the right thing, even they will get outed and thrown under the bus. They really will. They will get thrown to the wolves when it comes to trying to out the other, you know, hell, even trying to out the force themselves, the whole damn police force.
Well, so, you have to understand, if they start talking about this stuff, they're going to end up losing their jobs, because basically, unfortunately, for the Freemason Brotherhood definitely goes through the cops. It goes to attorneys. I was a legal secretary for 30 years. I didn't know that, but 90% of them are Freemasons. It goes through the judges. And, you know, I went to, I had these people I had been staying with, and the night before, I felt like they had date raped me. So I went and reported it. I went to a nurse, and she was supposed to do a kit, and she asked me about my childhood. And I ended up telling her about what you got to watch what you tell people, I guess, because at that time I was just going to tell everybody. I used to just tell everybody. I still will. But anyways, I told her about, you know, and she stepped out of the room, comes back 10 minutes later with 2 cops. And I said, I'm just telling through this. It took them like an hour or 2. They ended up talking me into going into an ambulance, and they tricked me, and they didn't do the kit, and they took me to a crazy house. I ended up staying there a week. I thought I was going to be there for the rest of my life because I didn't have anybody. But thank God this one person I had met weeks before that I still had the number helped me to get out. And but I said to the police when they were forcing me into the ambulance, I said, all I'm doing is sharing the truth. What are you going to tell your children when you find out that you know, this MK Ultra, or if you wanted to talk about the New World Order, I've had that to tell a cop about before, and he's laughed at me. He said, do you believe in the New World Order? I'm like, yeah. But the officers, when they were taking me into the ambulance, he said, well, I got to feed my kids. That's what he said. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, not everybody wants to be vocal about this.
It's right. I'm just doing my job, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then they knew I wasn't lying. I mean, well, who would make that up? They were like, they listened to me for like 20 minutes saying some of the beginning of what I shared here. And then they were like, and she tricked me. The nurse said that you're just going to go to this place. And then they took me and locked me in a room for 24 hours, and then they move me to another place. And it's just, amazing what they can do to break your spirit.
You're right.
Yeah. It's, I,
Well,
I don't know anybody who'd want to go through it.
What would you say to someone who is going through the experience, and they realize that they are part of it? What would you, especially in today where we're at, what would you say to people like that are going through it and they understand that they're part of it?
Probably the first thing that came to my mind is that acceptance. Accept it and face it. I mean, you may have to cut off your whole family. Like me reuniting with my daughters by me pushing it because they didn't want it has not been all beneficial. That you may have to spend a lot of time by yourself until you can get what's, because they'll send more handlers in. They'll send more predators because they don't want you to wake up. But also that to find it as a blessing and a virtue or something really good to be aware that you are being mind controlled. Remember, the perfect mind control person does not know they're mind controlled. Just like the perfect host does not know it has a parasite. That's why this been going on for so long, and it's so nefarious because nobody knows. Even sometimes handlers don't even know they're being handled. It goes through layers. Yeah.
Sand, your definition of a handler, so everyone knows. Let's get this clear. From an MK kid, definition of a handler.
A handler is somebody that actually will deliberately does things that are to upset your world, to have things disappear in your house. They'll set you up in situations. There's program. I'm like I said, I'm really not an expert yet. Because there's always the other night I started trying to listen to Fritz Springmeier again because I learned so much from him and I fell asleep. But I wanted to listen to one from 10, 12 years ago because there's so much. But my definition of a handler is somebody that is there to disrupt your life, to almost like a narcissist. You know how narcissists, they gaslight you. Mm-hmm. I don't know if people know the term gaslighting. Handlers, I had somebody I just read an article. She's like, can we be friends with our handlers? Can you be friends? Like, you don't want to go through life hating them, but when you have all those aha moments after, and you're like, David, that was a setup. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, they did that on purpose. And then you can become angry. You can become, and then you just keep saying, you know what? I'm getting out of here, and I want to be the most purpose, do the most service for humanity, for the universe, for all the species. And if I had to go through this, and even if I offend people, because like I said, I reread my book a little bit, and I'm like, oh shoot, man, my daughters, I wrote some stuff, and I'm surprised they're still talking to me, but
they are.
I felt it needed to be for people to see the generational part.
Let's talk. Okay, go.
So was that a good explanation for
a
handler?
Yeah.
I mean, is it hard to explain? I mean, maybe somebody else could call in and explain it better to me. That's what a handler is to me. I feel that a lot of them are CIA agents. They've been military trained. They've been they're way smarter than they're ever going to let you know, and it goes deeper than your people will know.
You know what? So, let me ask you something. Penny's in the chat of the Matrix chat. Maybe I did open up the switchboard. If she's got a moment, maybe she can call in and talk with us too.
Okay.
You know what? With all of this being said, again, you know as well as all of the ABCs know, I'm being, for some reason, placed in your guys' lives, And I don't really know why. I don't know why. And again, there's many of you. A couple of them I have pushed aside. I've blocked them. I'm like, I want nothing to do with you until you are able to grab hold of your frontal personality and you your own self get a grip. Okay, I Penny knows exactly who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention his name, but there are those that are awakening within that programming, and the dissociative disorder is literally, the front, their frontal personality, who you are, is like taking the back burner. The defense is always up, okay, because you've got another personality coming forward, and I'm like, yo, whenever you're able to come forward and put the defense down, then I'll talk to you, because I mean, I was being threatened, okay, and I number one, I don't deal well with threats. I can handle myself pretty well, but nevertheless, when it comes to the degree of these people who completely have the split personality, which I'm glad that you are again rooted where you're at, because I think you're in good places right now, and we're going to continue. I'm going to continue to be in your life and work with you and talk with you and have you help me with other people and your. But why? My question to all of you MK kids, why the MK program? Why? What the hell is all of it for? I've not ever asked that to any of you.
What? So you're asking what the MK Ultra program is for, you're saying from a historic point? Like, why? It's been going on for thousands of years.
But why?
Okay, energy. They suck on our energy. They suck on the innocence of the child being stimulated at 7 years old, having an orgasm at 8 years old. Do you know how much energy this interdimensional suck off of that child? Do you know why these men pedophiles like to rape little boys, anal sex, because of something that happens to their spinal, something in our energy. Remember, we're energy vibrating to a frequency, and we have these chakras, and something that happens when they do that for the anal sex. It's all energy. This is a loosh farm. Loosh is a word that I learned from Robert Monroe. He wrote 3 books before he died, and now I've heard it all over the place.
Yeah,
most people should know what loosh is, or they call it lash or loosh. I call it loosh. I hope I'm saying it right.
We call it loosh here also. They
right.
They know loosh energy.
Mm-hmm. Right. And they suck it. And what they do is they take the child's energy. And of course, through doing all of this, they've learned through trauma at a young age. It's got the best trauma is between 3 and 6 years old. And then they can mold the mind, and they take all of this, and then they make us into perfect slaves. Like I cartelled. I didn't know, unbeknownst to me, I drove many 40, 50, 60 times between New York and Michigan in 16 years cartelling. You don't even know you're doing it for them. Like I said, you're a perfect mind control slave.
Wow.
Or they have those other ones they can do, the Marcherian, which I'm, like I said, I'm not an expert. Like this, like when I listened to you and Penny, I think Ken listened with me that one time, right? Ken, we listened to about an hour. She's so full of knowledge, and I know, but, I know names like Alan Dulce's the head of the CAA, and he had Sidney Gottlieb with him. And then in 1973, Helms destroyed, I know the structure of it. But I still feel like I know that it goes way back to ancient Egypt time. That's why the Nazis were so into the occult, which nearly means secret knowledge, is because they were learning all of those ancient sorcery and the ways to control minds. They control your mind. They control your soul, And there's actually, your heart is so important. Our hearts are so important.
We want to talk about that.
About our hearts.
Yeah, talk about your heart because talk about that.
I have a chapter in there, yeah, because there's more. Because our hearts, there's more energy that comes from the main chakra. Your fourth chakra is your the green color, and that's your heart. And there's more energy that goes from there than anywhere, and there's more neurons from your heart to your brain than from your brain to your heart. And then I shared in my book a lot of scripture. If you really go back and, like, I went back and read that book cover to cover, and I'd already read it for decades before. And there's so much scripture about the heart, and the Creator knows our hearts. And that's why, there's no getting out of this without being accountable. Everything, there's no death on top of it. If you're a true soul, there is supposed to be people here like hybrids, robotoids that are walking around here with no soul.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a soul, I have a soul. I know that, I'm not a perfect guesser of souls, or if they're reptilian really inside because they cloak, or if there's really, but I do know that there's people with souls, and that's what we are accountable. And that this is called a school, even though I've called it a prison planet or a loosh farm or the Matrix, you can call it that. But they're actually, it's a school in the university, in the universe. So we're here to learn. And, and that's, but I'll be like, and supposedly we all picked our challenges in our life, and I'm like, well, why did I pick this?
Right. I'm with you on that one, girl.
Yeah, what the heck was I thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, I like my numbers I picked. I was just like, yeah, I'm 11 1115 1959. Didn't know that.
You, me, your old man, my wife. Everybody I know would be saying the same shit. Why have I had to go through what I've gone through? If I got to pick this, and like you said, well, my spirit tells me is because of experience, of the experience. Going further than that, I've channeled the Pleiades, and they tell me, now take this for what it is. I didn't come up with this. This is not my words. This is their words. The spirit, the soul, the fragmented, because we are only fragments of the true oversoul. And
Correct.
The way it sees things is it would rather have a bad experience here on this planet to learn things and to touch into, tune into, and hone into other people who are also aspects of that soul. Okay? So many layers to this little matrix here. But with that being said, it would rather have a bad experience than no experience at all. That's why it comes here, even to suffer, they say. I'm hearing what it's saying. I'm hearing what they're saying to my wife. I'm back here in the back corner in my hand as they got me in my hand and my conscience. I'm screaming. I'm going, and nobody's listening. Nobody's listening. They're hearing me. They're hearing what I'm saying. But I'm going, why so traumatic of an experience? Why this? Why that? And they said because the all is source had to have had an experience of its own self, soul source in some way. Okay, there are those aspects of a soul that have chosen to be brave. Now listen to me. It's chosen to be brave and unrockable, that came forth to experience what it experienced, even if it's only 3 years, even if it's only 8 years. I'm talking about these tragic deaths of like children at the age of 3, age of 6, maybe all of these aspects of the all is, right, still had a general purpose of being there to experience the source. I'm not talking, God, lords, queens, kings, priests. I'm talking the all is experience. It's so you and I can talk about it on off the air if you want, but talking about the universe, okay, is completely off of the MK topic. But I'm just saying it goes so much deeper to who we are.
Well, like we've had thousands of lifetimes. So a lot of Christians get mad at me when I say they're like, "Oh, this is our first lifetime," and I mean, no, we've had thousands of them. And I feel this is my eighth life through streams. That this is my eighth life as an MK Ultra. Maybe I wasn't a survivor. Maybe I was taken out when I was 40. Like what is the definition of a survivor? Like because we have hundreds of thousands, millions of MKs that are gone now, that they were taken out, at 30, 40, when they're waking up, we got to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. Oh, they'll make them commit suicide. There's all kinds of ways to eliminate somebody. So what makes somebody my question is, and for this lifetime, if I was I feel I was MK, I was a very wealthy woman in another life and had no clue that I was MK Ultra and died in my son's arms, who was actually a handler. So say that happened or it didn't happen, but what's happened, because what if I didn't wake up? I would never know my parents. I would never have been able to figure all this out. So how do you know what experience, or I might be not being clear, okay. Like a 3-year-old, like you said, why is that 3-year-old chosen to be the one that gets their adrenochrome in their blood drink, and why is that one? Like, we don't know. That's where you go above the universe. But my understanding is the same as what you said, the Palladians, is that we all really wanted to come here. Mm-hmm. That there's something about this place that, because I've often said, like, I think I was tricked. I don't think I would have signed up for this.
I'm with you.
All my agreements and my contracts and everything are all null and void. Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah. And then I'll be like, gosh, I love this place. You look at the beauty and you feel the breeze and the trees and all of it. And then you're like, okay, or sometimes I'll be like, oh, I better enjoy it because this is my last time. Because I'm not coming through this again. Right. But I had this dream, and I went through, I think it was right after I did ayahuasca. So my dreams were way more vivid because, that's like a DMT thing. It does something to your third eye.
Right.
And I was in New York City or there, something like that. And I counted 8 buildings and went up 8 floors and walked down to the 8th door in the hallway. And opened the door, and the secretary, it's all telepathic. She says, "Oh, you're here." And she turns to the man in the back room. And to me, it looked like Miguel. And I don't know why in my dream I said, that's Miguel. And then I had heard about Joseph Miguel, but never had felt like he was, in my room when I was, getting my part of my treatment. Was he really there at that hospital? They did go to their different locations. Joseph Miguel also went by the name Dr. Green.
Right.
Right. And it was Miguel, and it's all telepathic, and he's got the German accent. And he's like, "Oh, so you figured us out?" And I'm like, that didn't sound very German. And he said,
smart ass.
And he says, and I said, and this is, and I shook my head, and I'm like, yeah, I figured you out. And then I woke up and I said, okay, I finally, to me, I feel so blessed to have woken up before I passed. Because if you pass and you don't know, you're not any smarter when you leave here than you were here. They're not going to tell you when you go to the other side, oh, by the way, you were MK Ultra. You're going to have to try to figure it out there, and maybe remember to go to the Akashic records, because everything is recorded. in something called, if I can say it right, Ashkenazi. You've heard of it, right?
Akashic.
Akashic Records. Yeah, that's
Akashic.
it.
Yeah.
Akashic Records. So if you don't know, to even go check them and say, hey, I have a question. What happened on that night in 1982? You know, like you can actually check on your own life if you even have enough intelligence to even contemplate that you're going to survive after this. They don't want to know they're immortal. People don't want to take that responsibility. You know, they don't want to say, oh, like I had this she was old Eastern Star. Her son was a Freemason, he told me, and she's met me, and she's like, she kept going like this with the big 666. She goes, I'll tell you, honey, when you leave here, it's lights out. It's all over. And she kept telling me, and I said, you know what? You just remembered when you met little Sandy Bergen, when you leave here and you're like, oh, shoot, I'm still alive. And then, yeah, I was like, and you see your husband, because she kept saying, my husband's gone. I'll never see him again. When you see him, do you remember that I told you that, you know, there's nothing more liberating. Yeah, liberating too, to know that there's no death. To me, I was like, cool. I had a lot of repenting to do. I'll tell you that. I was like, oh my gosh. When I had the awakening, I was like, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this. And I was like, oh, forgive me, Father, for I've sinned, you know, all that. And you have to go through your guilt. And, you know, what they say, the word sin is Satan is in. If you're going to sit and, you know, like sinning, the guilt is bad. I was so guilty when I first had my awakening that I thought I should never see my grandkids again, because I was a dirty drug addict. See, I was like a legal secretary by day and smoking crack by night.
Right.
You know, that's not normal. Reading the Bible, you know, this is like, how many personalities did I really have? How do you know, Matt, how many of you, since we don't talk that often or anything, but 3.
There's the morning. No. You know what, Kenny? If you're watching, you can still vouch
Kenny's
for
watching.
this one. This one still exists, very much so. It's called the morning Sandy. Okay, the I'm hungry Sandy. And then then the Sandy I know right now.
It's what he's just kidding around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ken's like, what are you talking about? He doesn't know what you're talking about.
Sandy's personalities. I have those 3 too. It's called.
Oh, believe me, I was called Sybil by some handlers. Yeah.
Gambino. Mine's called "Don't Talk to Me Before My Coffee." Don't f with me until I've eaten. And then let me go to bed when I'm tired. Those are my main 3. But, you know what, speaking of split personalities, though, I mean, I've never... I've only, I think, encountered one with you. And that was whenever you were scared shitless. And you were on the you were on the run. You were on the run. You were living out of the van. You were...
I was like doing motels.
You were doing motel things
weekly motels. Yeah.
You scared me. You scared you. You scared you. And the defensive Sandy was not even that wasn't even you. That was not you. That was not you. It wasn't you.
Well, like I said, I don't know. Like I remember we talked, and then something triggered me, and I was just like, I don't want to associate with you anymore.
I know. Okay, I've got MK. So wow, I'm looking at a chat here now. Again, I don't normally do this feed this way. Are you on Twitter? Just curious. This is hey, she looks like she's in Gold Vault. Nice fake backdrop. All right, that's a shill here. So get the hell out of there. Okay.
It's not a fake backdrop. It's my lights on my back of my. I'm sitting on my couch.
Got a participant on area code 2214. Welcome to the Matrix, and thank you for being with myself and Sandy Bergen. Hello. Welcome.
Hey, Matt.
Celine down at Texarkana. Yeah. What's up? What's that cracking, girly?
you doing?
Doing. How you doing?
I'm good, as always.
What's going on? How's the old man? Good?
Yeah, my old man's good. He's sitting there next to me. He's still awake.
Shout out, my brother. What's up? What's on your mind? You got some things to ask Sandy? Hello.
What's going on?
Hey, bro. What's up, man?
All nothing here, just getting ready for tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
packing stuff up. Getting
Cool.
out on, getting stuff ready to sell.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
All right, I'll get you back to Celine.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself. Take care of your girl. Celine.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. You got some things to ask talk to Sandy about?
Well, and I haven't, to be honest. I just now came onto your show. So what the fuck were we talking about?
Sandy Bergen is an MK Ultra monarch, awakening one.
Oh.
So she'd be a star seed that is awakened to Project MK Ultra.
No, I know a lot about MK Ultra.
Well,
I've
you
been
can
down that rabbit hole for the last few years.
you can talk to Sandy about it then. That's our guest. You got any questions about
Hey,
it?
Sandy, what's up? Well, I do. You know, I mean, what age were you when it started?
I would say I was 3 years old, but it starts from when you're born. Yeah, I was 3 years old when I was taken back to the hospital that I was born in, and that they electroshocked my brain and started to pedophize the sex at very young age.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The normal age for them to start it is between 3 and 6 years old.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what I've come across. You know, that it's when you're at a younger age, and you know, I wasn't MK Ultra'd, but I was molested at a younger age by a friend's father or uncle, whatever the hell he was. I don't even remember, but.
okay.
Celine, how do you know? How do you know? Because Sandy's, she believes that the perfect host has no idea that there's a parasite even within it.
It's with me, it's something I remember. I mean, I distinctly remember these images. There's no other way I can describe it. It's like pictures of my brain.
Are you talking about the times when you were molested?
I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear you.
You're cutting out. I'm not really able to hear you either. I said I'm not sure what the images are you say you're seeing. Is the images of when you were being sexually molested?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're real. And I don't know when you're, like, if you blocked it out the whole time or if it came back later. Like, I was molested by my brother as well as all the sex I had with my cousin. But with my brother, I had them come back later. And then they came back as a flashback. And then he told me, no, it happened in another place. And that's when I remember the 20 or 30 times. Who knows how many times it could have been. So I don't know.
With I had my grandmother was done that way by her brothers. And then later on down the line, when I was like 9 or 10, I had a friend that lived on the opposite, the other side of the block from me. She was like 1 block from me. And her uncle did that shit to me.
Yeah. And like I said, sometimes it doesn't come back. How old were you because when at that time, like when you said that shit was done to you, you just put that shit in the back of your mind. And so you were like, you said, whatever, 10, 12 years old. And then you go through you go through your adulthood, you go through your 20s, your 30s sometimes. And then all of a sudden you start like, hey, that wasn't normal. I was a child. you're
Yep.
not even, yeah. And then it comes back, and then by then you're like, okay, he's probably passed, he's probably dead. How do you confront it? How do you deal with it? Because everybody does want it to be rectified, to have justice, but you have
Well,
to deal
and I
with
mean, when I look at it now, and because I was, and my mother, bless her heart, she did the best she could, but she was physically and emotionally abusive when I was a child. And so, I ended up hooking up with my friend down the street, and her uncle ended up abusing me. I mean, that's just something that's normal to me.
Well, that I was out not at my I didn't really. I ever look back at my childhood, and I was always at my girlfriend's house. I was in somebody else's house because I think I wanted to be away from my family, especially my brother, who used to do verbal. He would call me names every single day. Even when I was 115 pounds, I had an image of myself as being 150 because he called me baby buffalo and all these, and then he did all the sexual. So, and I look back and I would stay at these other friends, and it was really gross because they lived in a basement and they had cockroaches and I was rather been there than in my own house. And I look back and I'm like, that's not normal. So at least you should be. Yeah, I hope you know that you're grateful to be able to talk about it today. You have a family, and you can just not let it happen to any of your children or your grandchildren.
Yeah. I had a cousin. She's 11 days older than me, and we grew up together. And her house had, roaches. They had, if a cat shit would come flying out at you. But I loved being there because I felt like my aunt and my cousin loved me for who I was, not for what had happened to me.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but sometimes I look back and I think that puts us into a poverty mind too, so that you just think that that's the way it's supposed to be, because I mean I never had I just look back and I should never have been in this. Her name was Linda Perrin, and her brother also molested me when I was in fourth grade. And he was about seventh grade. And I distinctly remember him doing, throwing his penis out and all that. Yeah.
I mean, my grandmother, my mother's mother, my grandmother, she was molested by her brothers.
It's usually generational. My mom was molested when she was young too. But see, like my mom and dad, they totally knew what they were doing with mine. They were perpetrators of it, and they were paid. But there's other generational. See, I think the reason it's so generational and so strong is because they have so much power with it. And like Matthew asked me about why they do it, and it's for that energy. It's for that loosh. And another part of the loosh that they like to collect is also low vibrational, which is like what happened with 9/11. Like everything went woof. Everything, and then the interdimensionals have a feast of sucking on our sadness and on our stress and our anxiety. They feed on that. What is your name?
My mom. I mean, my mother, bless her heart, she was molested by her father, her and her older sister. There's 4 altogether, but her and her older sister were molested by their dad. So it's like, it's just this whole fucking generational thing that, I mean, it's like I thank God that the Lord opened my eyes to the beginning of all this, because I was abused physically, sexually, mentally, emotionally, whatever, by my mother when I was growing up. And I thank God there was one night, because I used to talk to my middle and my youngest child the same way, that they were pieces of shit. And I thank God that he opened my eyes one night. It was like middle of the night, couldn't sleep, 3 a.m. in the morning, whatever. he was showing me all of this, and I stopped talking to them that way.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was lovely. I was so grateful, that God showed me, hey, you're doing your kids the same way you were done. Don't do this anymore.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like I did the best. Obviously I know I did the best I could with my kids, but
Mm-hmm.
I used to say all the time, my kids are going to grow up and leave me. And I think that's because I was
Yep.
always planning on leaving, and then I did not put my kids first. I put these nasty men before them, and lots of things. I'm really grateful. My daughters are all beautiful, successful, and
Mm-hmm.
happy. But I could have did a better job. But at least you saw, like I said, I saw with my kids how I was an absentee mom. I was a workaholic, and then I would go out and do dancing on Friday night and party all night, and I could have been a way better mom. But at least I've already told them to their faces, I'm sorry, which I'm sure you did to your middle daughter and your youngest daughter for talking to them like shit, like you said, and you're making a better way so that they can learn how to talk to their children.
Well, see, like my mom, she worked 78 hours a week. She was busy because she was a single parent. When my dad found out she was pregnant with me, he left. And so I'll cover this, she did the best that she could, But she worked like 70, 80 hours a week. So I was left with an alcoholic grandmother who, by the time I was seven or eight, I was drinking.
Mm.
And it just, because I was raised by an alcoholic grandmother, I was left on my own a lot of the time. I would like go outside and ride my bike or, whatever. But my mom did, God, I'll give her that. She did the best that she could. My dad, like I said, took off when he found out she was pregnant. He left her ass. And so she was kind of stuck. She wasn't going to abort me.
Right.
But she did the best that she could, and I'll give her that much. But she was not a very patient mother. I got my ass busted countless times with switches, with belts, with whatever.
Stan, did you go through that too, growing up as a child? The abusive parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My dad worked a lot, but my mom, she jumped me. I'd probably say I was in 5th grade. So what would that be? 9, 10 years old. My brother and I were fighting because we used to argue all the time. Well, she decided to attack me, and she jumped me, and I remember my older sister, one of the older sisters, and the one brother that I was fighting with, that they were afraid of my mom because she was like foaming at the mouth, like punching me in the face and stuff.
Yep.
And I heard my brother Bill say to my other sister Kathy, jump her, get her off her. Because my mom was like, yeah, and like, I didn't realize it, Matt, at the time, and I don't remember this lady's name. I'm sorry, but I don't realize how much that did traumatize me till after, the awakening.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it till I was like, oh my God, that was horrible. I mean, I never did anything. Like my daughters, like I said, I could have did way better, but I never beat them. I never made sure, never let them stay at people's houses that I thought they were having sex with kids, or, like there's a difference between, I don't know what made my mom do it. My dad was an ass too. One time when I was 40 years old, my dad told me, Sandy, I love you, but I don't like you. That was like a knife went in me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See,
I didn't even, I was an only child, and I found out like 2 or 3 months ago, I have 5 other half brothers and sisters.
Wow. It's a big surprise.
No, I was really freaking shocked. Because I was like, I didn't, and I went to I found out I ended up going to junior high with one of my half sisters, and I didn't know it.
There's a story that Sandy's got in her book, as well as I've heard it time and time again in other interviews, that the mental breakdown of and conditioning here goes back. I'm not going to talk for her. She can tell her own story about our puppy. And it broke her heart, and she's like, so tell the story about the mental conditioning there, Stan.
Well, like, I'll never forget it. You know that. I was about 13 years old, and I had gotten from Sharon, who is my cousin's mom, who, is kind of a madame. She had a litter of puppies, and I got to pick out the puppy I wanted, and I took it home, and it was with me 24/7 the whole summer. And my best friend would tell me, "Oh, that's your son now," because I always had it with me. And I went to school, and at like 2-3 weeks after school started, the dog was always waiting for me at the door and would jump. He was a little poodle Pomeranian, and he could jump from the floor to my arms. He was so happy to see me. And I remember the day I got off the bus, and my friend's dog, it was a block away, my friend's dog came running up to him, and I said, "Oh, David, my dog's always waiting for me when I get home too." And I opened the door, and the dog's not there. And I opened the other door because we had a store. My parents had bought a party store. It's a long story how they had the money to buy that. But I said, "Daddy, where's my dog?" And he said, "Oh, your mom took him to the vet." And I immediately started crying because I knew he didn't have a vet appointment. And she came home. I ran upstairs and I started crying right away. I guess I knew, and I screamed down the stairs when she walked in. I said, "Is he dead?" And she said, "Yes." And it never occurred to me. It never occurred to me to say, why didn't they bring my dog home to bury? Why didn't they? For 3 days I didn't leave nobody came. My mom might have once or twice, but my dad never came up and said, "Honey, I'm so sorry." There was and I laid in that room. I didn't go to school for 3 days. There's the 3 days again. For 3 days. And I found out through the program that what they will do is they will take a child's dog away. They will sometimes even make the child hurt the dog to traumatize there's some children that don't make it as far as me. I'm sure if they would have made me kill my dog, I would have woke up a long time before this. But they took my dog, and I don't think it was ever ran over by a car. I think that they took it away. Just think of all that energy, all the sadness, all that they suck off of me, for those days. And then,
I've got one left, and it's a kitten that we found in our shed. We found 2 kittens in our shed, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, and I bottle fed and raised them both. But I ended up accidentally stepping off our entryway, which has a step down, and killed one of the kittens. So, like, stepped on its back, and it fucking killed it. And it's messed up. But one of the kittens that I fed, I still have her.
Well, that's what you did. You did that. You know what happened. Like, that you accidentally killed that kitten. Like I said, now after I just really wish that I would have pinned down my parents more and said, "I want to see my dead dog." And they should have wanted to do a burial. And then, like I said, learning through the program is what they do to traumatize child. And I had no love from my family. So that dog was everything to me. And then they took that away. And then you try to go to church, and you try, and then you're finding out that wasn't going to be any help. And so.
Yep.
All right.
I get it.
Celine, you got any more questions for Miss Sandy? I'm going to bail on you. Are you sure?
Okay. That's good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Celine. We'll talk to you. Take care of the old man. If not, just don't push him around too much.
I will.
All right. Talk to you later. All
Love
right.
you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Alrighty then. Now it's just me and you again. This switchboard usually during the interview, a lot of them I don't know. They listen. They do a lot of listening. I'm also trying to watch in the chat here for questions and things. But I mean, they're just primarily listening to you. Do you got any talking points that you want to cover that you haven't covered yet? Like, where are you at in your life now? How's your life going now compared to where it was?
Well, my life now compared to after the awakening. I mean, I woke up when I was up on 20 acres up in Michigan, and which was great because I got to walk the property because you're digesting all of these downloads and being led to books and websites. And I was listening to David Icke, who led me to Kathy O'Brien. It was David Icke actually the first time I heard about Kathy O'Brien, who's considered now a shill that we know, but
I still believe. You know what? I still believe Kathy O'Brien's story. Okay, you can't. The majority of that shit you cannot make up. You can't.
Oh no, not Kathy. I meant David. Kathy's story, I believe. I mean, I've tried to reach out to Kathy. I sent her a text message to a place in Tennessee, to her and Mark Phillips, and they didn't answer. Then I saw where they were supposed to be taking people and reprogramming them. So at this point, like I said, I met Ken, who I'm at Columbus, Ohio now, 4 years ago. It'll be 4 years, October 6th, 2017. I met him October 6th, 2017. And like I said, after I sold my property, I drove across the United States and had my things that happened and was bouncing around. And now I'm settled and I'm not going anywhere as far as I'm concerned. I'm good. Ken's not perfect and I'm not perfect. And I have called him a handler before because he does sometimes handler characteristics and all, but he's been through a lot. And he's a really hard worker, and we have a really great place here. It's funny that whoever said that I have a fake, that's actually just my lights on the top of my patio back here. This is not even the best part of my patio.
Oh, right.
But I love my patio. So no, I don't do fake backs. I don't have a green thing.
Green screen?
What is it called?
Green screen?
Green screen. Yeah, no green screen. So, I mean, like I said, we could talk for hours, that. I mean, the MK Ultra, like, for me, like, I feel like some of the times I've had people say, well, I'm so sorry. And I'll be like, but look I'm smiling. I mean, let's be happy and let's make it a positive by exposing it. I think that's when I've told people I didn't wake up for nothing. I'm going to tell the whole world. And I went out, when I was driving, I might stop at a bar in Arizona and, and say, we start talking to some stranger and I'll be like, well, did you ever hear of MK Ultra? And they'll be like, what is that? And I'll be like, M for mind, K for control, German, ultra secret. And then you proceed to tell them about it and they'll be like, oh, our government would never do that. What are you talking about? And I'm like, well, yeah, they would. I'm a survivor.
Well,
but
yeah, I mean,
point,
they would definitely. I mean, come on, yeah. You ain't got to try to. You ain't got to try to convince anybody here. We're aware. Oh yeah, we're aware.
So what I was getting at, you was asking me where I'm at today.
Yeah.
Well, I go because Ken does fireplaces, and I have definitely some of the customers. I've definitely say that we've gotten to know them and we're putting in their logs and then I'll start chatting and I'll bring it up. But I'm really glad today to have done this, Matt, because I haven't really been talking about it because, for instance, my daughters who came to visit last weekend, it's good because I went 2 or 3 years without talking to them. The one's going to be 30 and the other one's going to be 32. The 42-year-old I went 6 years without talking to, and I got to talk to her and see her this year, which is a blessing. But they don't, excuse me, they don't want to talk about MK Ultra.
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying? So I'm almost to a point where, okay, I did, when I was like on fire and I was going to, tell the whole world about it. I had that one interview from Miles and Anna Braga that had 135 views, and I was like really happy. I was like, okay, we're getting the message out there. And then, they took it off, and I'm to a point now, I just pray. I pray to universe that I've touched who I was supposed to touch.
Well, let me share something with you.
And then I get out of here clean. I gotta get out of here clean.
You've got 45 people watching you in one specific one page of Facebook. I think about the same amount in the other page. You've got some people in YouTube. Roughly, you've got about just under 300 people watching you now, right now. Okay. So all I'm saying is, yeah, you've got the attention of some people, and that's why you're here, is to share your story.
Right. And if anybody wants to message me on Facebook or something, if you want to, if you really want the book, because I have some copies still that. And basically, most of the time, Matt, when I sent you yours, but I could, you can get it on Amazon if you so desire, but I could send you a signed copy too.
Well, I'm gonna share that.
And I heard it's free, and somebody else told me they read it free, Matt. So I'm not really doing it for money.
That would
I'm
be
not
me.
doing it for money. What, you read it free online? No.
No.
You
gave me the book.
You can read it free. You can read it free online. That's what I heard.
I have a question.
So I don't know what the heck's going on. I haven't made any money on it.
Did you? Did you self-publish?
It's through Rose Dog Books. It's supposed to be self-published, but it's not.
Oh.
If they order it off of Amazon, I only get 40%. So if it's $20, what am I getting? I'm getting nothing. But I didn't do it for the money, even though I need money, and I love money because, I don't love money. I need money.
Right.
Because universe knows I need money. So, it's not about the money. But money, I don't despise money.
Let me see. Let me try to, let me go to a specific screen here. There we go. I'm going to share my screen. Or try to. I'm on the wrong screen. No, there we go. Again, how do you spell it? How do you say it? Yahuwah's game? Yahuwah.
And actually, Matt, you see how there's a W? I found out after I published it, there's really not a W in Hebrew. Because some call it Yahweh, which is YHWH. So then that made sense for Yahuwah. But supposedly there's not a W in Hebrew. It's supposed to be YAHUAH. But so, I'm not changing it now.
So where did you come up with the name? It's just a ride in the Matrix.
Oh, well, Yahuwah, where I came up with that in the game. And then It's Just a Ride in the Matrix is probably from Bill Hicks, one of my favorite comedians ever. When he says, is this real or is this just a ride?
Right.
And, and he says, the ride goes up and down and it's really brightly colored. Don't worry. Don't be afraid. It's just a ride. And you can change it anytime you want. It's only a choice between fear and love.
Now that's I gotcha. All right. Now, I was wondering for some time where you got that. I'm thinking, I wonder.
I did that all by myself, too. I was like, I'm going to. Yeah, all by myself. I haven't help from other people's little thoughts. But it really is just a ride. And it is a choice between fear and love. And, if people could just figure that out. Like, I have the book is weird. I'd say it is in a way, but then like I said, sometimes I get it and then I reread it and I'm like fun because like I have the excerpt from Don Juan Mantis who was Carlos Castadina was his apprentice, and he wrote 6 books about with Don Juan. And I just had to put it in there, like how to become a man of knowledge. The first thing to become a man of knowledge, you have to overcome fear. And when you overcome fear, then you get clarity. With clarity, you get power. And then the last thing you have to overcome is old age. Because when you get old, you want to slow down. And people, that's the whole part of the program. Mm-hmm. That's why I tell people you don't get older, you get better. You know, I'm 62, and I don't exercise like I used to, but I still strive to. Mm-hmm. You know, like I feel if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And old age, like, you know, all these people with Alzheimer's and dementia, I think that's caused from our diets, from the chemtrails, from the aluminum in our drinking water, all of that stuff. We're not supposed to, it's not. That's what I used to get upset with one of my handlers, and I say it's not supposed to be this way, because like they would alter my clothes and stuff. I'm not kidding. They would do crazy things to me, and I would end up going crazy, saying, "But it's not." And then he would go like laugh, he goes, "Ha ha ha! You're saying snot," and I'd be like,
"Right." Oh my God!
You have to laugh about it now.
Yeah.
If anybody can get it, I don't know if people would even get my humor. You know, because you have to laugh at yourself a little bit.
I am so surprised that this switchboard below me has not rang more than once. I really truly am. I mean, you've got Penny in there. I've got Wayne Stewart in there. I've got some other people that have many questions. Megan Scott wants you to definitely get in touch with her. Megan, if you're listening, I mean, why don't you call this young lady and talk to her? That's why we brought her here, so you guys can pick her brain, and you know, also so she can share the story with you. What?
And you know what? This worked out really, really well. That if you ever want to do it again, we can. And if they want to call, or maybe they can. I know you have your own. Oh, look at that! It does look like a green screen on my head. It's sparkling. I have orbs going around me. We could do it again. I mean, it's not a big deal. I guess, because I was a little nervous, and now I'm like, oh man, if you want to hack it, go ahead.
There is no hacking it. Honey, there's a guy. No, there's a guy in here by the name of Wayne Stewart. Okay, and Wayne Stewart is one of my biggest fans, as well as a very, very good friend. Very good friend. Mm-hmm. Not only am I gonna instantly download this video, okay, and save it I save it to a jump drive. I'm going to give it to him to where it doesn't vanish. It will not be edited. I don't edit any. This is the thing. A lot of the things I share here on the Matrix, whether it be from the Vatican, like, you know, Vatican showing reptilians or things like that, people are like, oh, well, nice CGI green screen, right? I'm like, sorry, folks. I don't do green screen shit here. I don't. Anything behind me is just like, this is literally a front porch that is enclosed. Okay, no big studio, no nothing. It's just a little teeny room. No CGI here. No green screen. None of that shit here. And so again, I'm not gonna edit. I'm not gonna edit your video and make you do a deep fake, make you say things. No, not gonna do any of that. You're protected.
It's weird how they did that though before, isn't it?
They had to have edited that video and taken out that segment. I have not seen it, but if you send it to me, I will definitely watch it.
I can send it to you, and I'll show you, because I stop it and I say, now see here, and you'll see it, right? And then I talked about like Max Spears, because Miles, of course, did not. He just told me during the interview, and I was at the beginning of my awakening, like 2015, and I had like learned about Max Egan. That's the person that I was going to tell you that was named Max Egan from Australia. When we were talking the other day. Anyways, he just told me, do you know Max Spears? And I'm like, my mind's going, Max, no. Well, it turns out Max is a super soldier that I ended up having, spiritual speaking to after he passed. That
Yep.
my computer just and like I could have actually, if he would have elaborated, and I probably would have investigated him, and I probably would have been able to meet him before he passed. But we, there's lots of us feel that we know Max from other lives. Max is not passed. You know that.
Yo, yes.
Max is too proud. Yeah, and
Reading
we
the
know he's not passed.
comments here. I would love to. Oh, okay. Beverly Lane says yes. We would love to have her on again. Definitely. I mean, Sandy ain't going nowhere. Sandy. I'm glad she's. Ken, shout out to you, my friend. Glad she's with a good man. Dude, by the way, what is the name of the company? Shout out the name of the company. That way we can.
Fire. Oh, for the fireplace?
Yeah, absolutely. She's in Columbus, Ohio, right? Columbus.
Yeah,
Ohio.
Fireplace. Columbus, Ohio. You got to make sure you do Ohio.
Ohio.
When I moved to Columbus, they told me that, because I said, I guess I'm an Ohio, and now they go, oh, no, you're a Buckeye. I didn't dare tell them I grew up in Michigan, which, because, the big arch, U of M and Ohio State.
They'd call you a traitor.
Yeah. Yes, they would. So, yeah, it's Fireplace Services Ltd. in Columbus, Ohio, and I don't know how many people you have in the Columbus. We go like a 50-mile radius. Heck, we would come out to Akron if we could go visit Matt and then come and service your fireplace.
I don't have a fireplace.
We service. I'm talking. I could visit you and service their fireplace.
Oh, I do have something I could have Kenny install for me though. I do.
How about a fire pit?
No, honey, I got me and Melissa, me and my wife. We've got a. I don't know if he would do this or not, but I've got a little warm morning thing that sits on the wall. It's a little teeny fireplace that sits on the wall. It's a gas thing, right? Do you guys do that?
Probably. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
What do you mean it sits on the wall? So what does it have? Is it natural gas?
Yeah,
is it propane?
Yeah, it hangs on the wall. It's a little thing that hangs on the wall. Kenny will know what I'm talking about, and it's natural. It's a natural gas. It's just a little. Thing.
Is it working or is it service?
No, hell no. It's still in the box. I haven't even. I bought it like a year ago.
Well, Matt, you need a heat source when the power goes down.
Sandy.
Now, if there's a total EMP, you're not going to be able to get gas either. But as long as it's just electricity, if you have natural gas or propane, you have heat and you stay warm. Because there's nothing worse than being cold.
Well, it runs off of natural gas.
Right. So then, as long as there's not an EMP, you would have natural gas even when your electricity goes out. All I can say is I need to talk to Kenny, and whenever you guys are up here one day, so I can schedule and have him come over here and put it on the wall. Like I said, we can work it out. All right. So what time is it?
It is an hour and 54 minutes into this live stream, and again, everybody shouts out to you. Looking back through the comments, Megan said Megan is the Matrix Minds card reader. She's a tarot card reader as well as a medium here on the show.
Okay.
She wanted to get in touch with you and give you a free reading.
Oh, nice.
So
how do I get in touch with her? Do I is she gonna do Sandy Bergen on Facebook or something?
Yeah, I can. Well, would you want me? This is the thing. I don't know how public you want me to go with this, because I can definitely share your Facebook page here on live for everybody. If you want me to do that, I can do that to where they can find you. Yeah.
See, I really feel that we're in the end game now, Matt. So I don't feel like there's big protection. Like I used to be like, oh, who wants to be my friend? Like I don't accept a bunch of friends. Like I have 100 for some reason I have more followers than friends. I don't know who's following me, but there's people following me that I don't know who they are.
Okay.
But I have 170 friends, say. But at this point, I'll take you like if it's totally somebody I cannot see any profile. If they're like, always a widowed military person, there's always a lot of widowed military men who want to be friends with me on Facebook, and I'm like, I'm anti-military, anti-government. What do you want?
Right.
You know. Yeah. But if there are people that they'll say, "Hey, I caught you on the Matrix show,
Yeah.
and I want to talk to you, or I'm interested in a question." I've had people like, that PM, and then finally we talked on the phone. I remember I was in Texas, and this guy, he's friends with me, and he's like, "Am I really talking to you? Is this really you, Sandy?" I said, "It's really me, Randy. It's me. What can I help you with?" And then we talked. And I've never talked to him again.
Was he weird?
But no, he just had some questions. And like I said, I've taken the time, but I've also had weirdos.
Right.
Like this guy from Africa who contacted me, and then he wanted me to sponsor him to come. He says, "You ruined a young black man's dream."
What?
I said, "I'm not a wealthy woman. Like, you asked me questions about Yahuwah and different things, and he read my book, and then he wanted me to support him to come here." And I'm like,
how did you blow his dream? I mean,
yeah, right?
Yeah. I call bullshit on that one. Someone's just trying to like mess with you.
Believe me, they bullshit me a lot. But like I said, I do my best to see through it.
Right.
And to have foresight instead of hindsight.
Right.
Because a lot of times I'll be like, I should have seen that before. But it's in hindsight when I have those aha moments when I'm like, oh, that was this, or this was a setup. I might sound paranoid, but there is a lot of setups.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll get through it.
All right, Miss Sandy. Again, honey, thank you. I appreciate you spending the time with me that you did, as well as the audience. I know that they enjoyed your presence here. They really did. And nobody joins and comes on the Matrix Minds without saying something positive to humanity. So you say something positive to everybody. Can you do that for me?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is that infinite love is the only truth, and everything else is illusion. So if you just always remember that love is going to overcome all the evil, even though it seems like there's not a lot of love here right now, but we're going to do it through love. Love conquers everything.
As you do. I got hung up in the mic.
Now what the hell are you doing?
I love you. I love you.
Oh, is that supposed to be "I love you"? To me, that's the evil horns.
I love you. No, that would be that would be that, right? Yeah, that would be that. I said I love you.
Oh, that one said "I love you."
Yes.
Okay.
I love you, and so does everybody else. Sandy, thank you so much for being with me. And tell your old man I appreciate you like that, the 2 hours. Thank you. We'll do it again.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you, all your Matrix people.
You're welcome. Good night, Sandy. Good night, Kenny. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. All righty, man. Now just me. Just me. Where does she go? Wow. I'm not familiar with this screen. I didn't want her thinking that she was alone. So I'm not familiar with this screen here. Let me how the hell do I do this? There we go. Well, I'm absolutely glad that she had a good time. It worked out. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to. Let me put the screen back together. There we go. It's Project Martin with Sandy Bergen. All right, there we go. Now I can see the brainiacs over yonder. Again, no. That was not the devil horns. That was I love you. I love you. Hello, I love you. Not devil horns. That would be like the devil horns, I think, right? Yeah, man. Miss Beverly Lane says, great show. Yeah, I enjoyed it too, man. Thank you, Andy Cassidy. Thank you, Beverly. Appreciate you, Wayne. And Miss Penny, thank you for being in there and talking to everybody and letting everybody know what exactly MK Ultra is. Indeed, Miss Sandy Bergen is a blessing to a lot of people, and I don't think she realizes that. But nevertheless, I want her to know, and this again, shout out to you, Miss Sandy. I've been friends with you for a long time, and I want you to know that no matter what happens, wherever in the world, I'm right here in Akron, Ohio, the Rubber City, capital of the world, and we'll all get through this. Indeed, shout out to you too, Kenny. Take care of her, and I know you will. All right, Miss Angela Stat says that's a hard conversation. She did absolutely amazing. I love you in sign language. Jay Pashuk says, "Oh, you guys, the lines were open, and you guys you didn't call in at all. You were just like too. You guys were too wrapped up with communicating and talking amongst one another, which is cool." Absolutely cool. Holy shit, look at that screen. That one's way big. There we go. Kind of get that. Now just back. I'm having to put my screen together. All right. Brainiacs, Matrix Breakers all over this planet. Again, it was absolutely amazing time. And again, you guys can check out Miss Sandy's book on Amazon. Yahoo is game. Just a ride in the Matrix. The story of Sandy Bergen. Again, there's things in this book that we didn't cover, so she knows. I have her back. I will definitely have her back. She's not going to lose touch with everybody or anybody. She's out there now. She's definitely out there. This show, this show is what we call here global and viral media, and that does not happen without you guys smashing that share button. Smash that share button for me. Smash it for her. If she did good, which I know she did, smash the share button. Get her story out there, because there's a lot of people in this world that are waking up that need that support, that need that courage. And indeed, Sandy is an amazing soul. Glad to have her as my confidant, as my friend. All right, man. With that being said, crank this up a little bit more. It's a little bit more. You guys, Friday night's interview with Miss Sandy Bergen, just a ride in the Matrix. I was hoping she'd say, I kind of named that book after the Matrix Minds, but she didn't. That's okay. It's all right. Can't throw a hissy fit. It's all right. Anyway, all right, guys. I'm going to go. You guys remember, you guys are the brains behind it all. The Matrix Breakers, the ones that question everything, even reality. I'm your host, Matthew Turner from Akron, Ohio, the Rubber City, capital of the world. I'm your friend, your partner here in crime, yet not crime. We're just questioning everything. Till Monday, everybody. Take care. Be safe. Love one another endlessly. That's why we're here. Love one another. Copy. Peace out, everybody. Catch you guys later. Good night, everybody. shout out to everybody one more time here in the Matrix Minds Facebook page, the Black Sheep Media Facebook page, YouTube, and Twitch. Everybody out there, audio only side of things, that would be Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora Radio, XM Satellite Radio, all over this great planet we are streaming live. Yeah, man, you guys rock. Keep rocking.